So my name is Stephanie, and I'm 21 years old.
Mary, and I'm 18.
Molly, 15.
So my parents technically split up when I was 5, but then they kept getting back together, and my dad would move in and out of the house for the next 2 years, but they officially divorced when I was 7 years old.
I was 4 years old.
I think I was maybe a little bit younger than 1.
First house that I remember living in is my Aunt Linda's house.
I remember living in my Aunt Linda's house.
The one that we're currently in right now.
My mom has multiple disorders. The biggest two that I actually know about is bipolar disorder and then borderline personality disorder.
Which means that 1 second she can be extremely happy and the next she's very angry and, she is also borderline, which means that she acts like a child sometimes, and that includes like watching children's shows and laughing at like inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. And she also has depression and anxiety.
She experienced a lot of trauma when she was little, so she kind of stayed, I'd say about 7 years old is where she is. So her mental capacity is basically that of a 7-year-old. She really needs people to take care of her. Sometimes she can act like adult because it's borderline personality disorder, but most of the time it's more childish than anything.
Like, she can't work or anything like that because of her disability.
I think I came home from school one day and I was like just in a mood. I didn't really feel like talking to anyone. She kept trying to talk to me, and then I don't know, one thing just like led to another, and then we were just like yelling and screaming at each other, and then I just walked out and I think I don't remember what I did. I might have just walked around the neighborhood for like an hour, and then I came back and like she was like still pissy and yelling and throwing things, so I just left and went to my friend's house, and I didn't tell her. I just came back the next morning.
She was kind of abusive when we were really little. So, one of, the most embarrassing moments I think I had with her was when one of my friends was over. And, I don't know, I probably, smart-mouthed her a 10-year-old normally does. Or a 9-year-old. And she, pushed me into the wall, and I fell down into the heater, and, my back got scratched up. And my friend was there and was like, oh my god, what do you do? She just was terrified, and I was terrified. And I would say that's probably one of the worst experiences I've had with my mom. She also has a lot of anger issues. I've seen her hurt my sisters, more married than Molly.
Yeah, when she used to beat me and slap me around.
So I've seen her, pin her to the bed, so that was always really scary.
Probably this summer after 5th grade.
7 years ago, on my 8th birthday.
I think I was in middle school. Maybe I was 14 years old.
He came up to New York, I think. And then, I think he stayed in a hotel, so we really didn't spend that much time together, though.
When I was a child, I do remember seeing him occasionally, at least almost every summer until after 5th grade.
It's always been very distant. We were never really super close or close really at all.
Our relationship is okay, I would say. We don't really talk much.
When I was little, he was my best friend, and I always preferred him over my mom when I was a baby and a child pretty much. So him and my mom used to give us piggyback rides when we go to bed at night. So Mary would always pick mom and I would always pick my dad. And we'd always go to the park together, and we just did a lot of daddy-daughter kind of stuff. So when I was little, it was really good. But, as he progressed into his alcoholism and his different problems with that relationship kind of faded. And I don't really know how he feels about me. But it's not like he was at my graduation, my Sweet 16. I don't even think he knows my boyfriend's name. We've been together for 6 years. It's just not that close. I don't even know if he knows what I'm going to school for.
We would talk, on holidays and stuff. And even recently, we only talk on holidays when, he says, Merry Christmas or something like that. And then we answer in a family group chat because, no one really wants to talk to him on their own.
The past, when they were together, wasn't that good. I mean, I've heard that my dad was abusive and all that to my mom.
The past, when things first started getting all rocky and stuff like that, it was bad for my mom. My dad was very abusive. He was an alcoholic, so everything that he did was a threat towards my mom, I guess. So I guess my mom lived kind of in fear of my dad or whatever until she decided just to get up and leave him and stuff like that. So
when I was little, before they divorced, I really felt like they did care about each other. They did love each other. They really seemed like they wanted to make it work. Like, I don't know, she was the stay-at-home mom. He was the working dad. Like, they had a nice little life together. We didn't own a house, but we rented a house and had our own car and everything. So I felt like it was good when we were younger. And he kind of like took care of her, and she was much more stable when I was like a child, like very young. So I think he kind of maintained her and she kind of maintained him. But then, things took a turn for the worse. He started drinking again. And I think she really wanted to make it work. Like, that's why she kept having him come back into the house and try to work with him and everything. But it just didn't work for them. They kind of ended on a very bad note. She did allow him to come back into our lives. But yeah, I would say now they don't really have a great relationship because they don't really talk. They're not really friendly. But when the divorce first happened, it wasn't really that bad. Like, they kind of put their differences aside so that we could have both parents in our lives. But then, he decided he didn't want to be in our lives. So that's when things went downhill.
I don't really think my parents have helped me. I think it was more my Aunt Linda and probably my sisters, I would say, too, and my friends.
I don't think my parents helped me get where I am directly. I think it was more of my sisters who were very big, and they encouraged me and they helped me along, and my aunt definitely, she took the reins on most of the things that my mom couldn't do and helped us grow up as well. And so I don't think my parents had like a positive effect on me, but they definitely did have a negative effect, and they showed me what not to do and how not to grow up and how not to get where you are. Like, both my parents were alcoholics, and they showed that you don't need stuff like that to get to a good place in life or feel like satisfied with your life. And that's helped me realize that they're not who I want to see myself turn into. I would say more positively, no, they didn't. It was more of my sisters.
I do think my parents have helped me get where I am, but not in a way of like being supportive and like paying for stuff and talking me through a bad day or anything like that. But if I didn't have them the way that they were, I wouldn't be as resilient. I wouldn't be as hardworking. I wouldn't be as determined to break the cycle of poverty in my family. And so, yeah, they have helped me, just not in the most traditional of ways that a parent should really help their children. Other than that, I would say my Aunt Linda has definitely helped me the most. I think that there's more to love than just, romantic. And I think that a lot of people think that when a kid's parents split up, they kind of lose faith in love. But I don't think that should happen. I think it's very important to love each other because that's the only way that any of us got through anything.